this is Ben from the Circulation Desk. Today I am going to be making paper cranes, origami paper cranes. All you need for this is a simple piece of origami paper. If you don't have origami paper, you can cut any piece of paper into a square. The more even the sides of the square are, the better, but any paper in any color, in any format, in any size will work for this task. So we're going to start out. I will show you the basic folds to make the origami paper crane. After that, I will give some examples of projects that you can do with them so you don't just have a random piece of paper folded into the shape of a crane. But to do that, I'm going to flip the camera around so that you can see what my hands are doing on the table. First thing we're going to do is we're going to fold the paper in half diagonally, trying to make the creases as even as possible. We're going to turn the paper, fold in half diagonally again, so that you end up with another triangle. Then we are going to pick up the piece of the triangle that we just made, stick our finger up in the middle of it, bring the point down, so now our triangle turns into a square. So you have now it's sort of a flap on the back, square on the front. Flip it over, do the same thing. Bring the triangle point up, put your fingers in the middle, bring the square down to turn our triangle into a square. So we now have a two-sided square. From here you have two options. Most people will just show, pull it up, flip it, do some magic things, and you're at the next step. For me, that's too hard. So I like to pre-fold my lines. So I'm going to take, if the top is the center of your square and the bottom has all the flaps, take the bottom pieces and you're going to fold the edges into the middle. So you're sort of making a kite shape, and you're doing this on all four sides. I'm going to sort of do it quickly so you can see the end result, that you're folding the outside edges into the middle on all four sides to make a kite shape. So these are going to be your sort of crease lines that help in the next step. So now we have a kite where the line is of the folded piece. We're going to again make sort of a crease, fold this forward and backward. This line is not super important that it be perfect, it's just a guideline. So to unfold everything, now we can see our guidelines. So again, put your finger into the middle, holding at our guideline right here. You fold this piece up, and using our guidelines on the side, you're folding the sides in, so that you are going from a small diamond to a much larger diamond. Doing the same thing on the other side. Holding right at where that guide crease is, put your finger into the middle, pull up, and using our guidelines that we've made on the side, fold inwards to create a two-sided diamond. From here, you do sort of now want to finagle your creases, make them nice and smooth. So now your diamond has a top and a bottom. The top is sealed, the bottom has little walking legs. So now we're going to fold inward on the leg side. Again, you're folding into the center from the outside into the center on all four sides. So we have two on this side, flip it over, fold into the center, 1 and 2. Now we're gonna, I say flip inside out, but basically it just means turning the sides to the opposite sides. So you were at the legs, and now you're gonna stick your fingers in and turn it, so now there are no legs at the bottom and the sort of leggy looking things are at the top. Almost done, 2 steps left. You fold up and fold up. There should already be a crease there, so it's fairly simple. Fold up on each side. So again, you were at this point, you're folding up on one side, flip it over, fold up, and again we're going to turn inside out, so that instead of it being this direction, turning from one version to the next. Last step, fold down the wings, one wing and fold down 2 wings. You have choices of a head and a beak, whichever one is prettier. Leave it straight as the tail, whichever one is, this side's not so perfect, that becomes your head. And you're just gonna fold it down and sort of pinch it. Doesn't have to be perfect, there's no rules about where. Just sort of pinch downward on one side to make yourself a head. If you want to be done at this point, you can, or I like to sometimes give them a little shape. You can sort of pull and wiggle and wobble, and then you end up with a shape that will stand up. So now you've folded your crane. What do you do with it? You can always just sit on a counter or a cabinet as is. The simplest that I've seen done successfully is to use Christmas ornament hooks. Very cheap, easy to get anywhere. You can wrap it around either the neck or the tail, and you have a very easy way to hang them in places around your home, on Christmas trees. I've seen people line up a whole row of them on a string or a wire, and you can place them in places with decorative Christmas or non-Christmas ideas. For a more literary approach, the origin of the story of the paper cranes comes from the book Sadako and the Thousand Paper Cranes, which is a story about a little girl in Japan after World War II, and her wish is to make 1,000 paper cranes for peace. So lots of places around the world, it's a project lots of school kids do, they fold together as a group thousands of paper cranes and string them together and mail them to Japan for peace. If you're doing this approach, 1,000 paper cranes takes a very long time, but it is a project that can be done with a group. But the craft aspect of it is the cranes fit together. So you can stack one on top of the other by sliding them together. And when you're doing it this way, you don't always fold the wings down. That they don't look as crane-like when you do this. But you make a very long chain of, you just stack usually about 100 of these cranes in one stack, and then you will end up with lots of heads and lots of beaks and lots of wings, and all the different colors, and a string of these that you're gonna then take a needle and thread, and you will go down through the middle and sew one long line, one long thread of all of the cranes together, and then you have strings of beautiful paper cranes. Or if you would like to get creative and use different materials, I've made cranes out of table napkins. You can put them on your dinner plate. Cloth napkins, they don't stand up quite as well, but you still get the idea that it's a crane that you could use for maybe setting a more fancy table. You can also use small things. My hands get bored and I make little cranes out of, this one is just a miniature gum wrapper. So thank you for watching how to make origami paper cranes. I hope you had fun, I hope you learned something, and I look forward to seeing you back in the library.